Hello and welcome to the Mighty Oak Supply Co. YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the more popular locking mechanisms on folding pocket knives. We've had a few questions and comments regarding locking mechanisms, so I wanted to make a quick video just kind of walking through the most popular locking mechanisms and showing you how they're different. So let's get right into it and start with the top left. We have the Kershaw Misdirect folding pocket knife, and this knife has a frame lock. Right, the locking mechanism on this knife is actually the handle of the blade kind of comes in and you can see it here holding the blade open, right? So that's what prevents the knife from collapsing in on itself, kind of closing in. So a frame lock. Now this is a little different from the QSP Penguin V2, which comes to us with a liner locking mechanism. Right, so these two get confused quite often. We have a frame lock, we have a liner lock. You can see the difference here. On the Kershaw, the actual handle itself, like the grip, is what's holding the blade open. On the QSP Penguin V2, we can see the inner liner of the knife, right? So inside the handle, there is a liner, and that is what is holding the blade up. That's why it's called a liner lock, right? So very similar locking mechanisms, but the liner lock tends to be the more popular of the two. We really see the frame lock on like aluminum handle knives, metal handles tend to have that frame lock because it's, so strong. But yeah, liner lock, frame lock, excellent locking mechanisms, very popular, very common. So that is the difference between those two. Those do get confused quite often. Moving to the right here, we have a classic Buck 110 Hunter folding pocket knife. And this guy has a lock back locking mechanism. So you can see when we open this up, the back of the blade, the actual handle here, pops open. And when we click it into place, it's being held kind of in one line, right? So you can see here, right, we push on the back of the handle in order to unlock this blade. It kind of pops open, pops up, and then we can move the blade back into the closed position. So this is the lock back locking mechanism, very popular on buck knives, pretty classic locking mechanism. It's really old school. And I include over here the Buck 112 Slim to show that it doesn't have to be old school, right? Like Buck does make more modern folding pocket knives that have the lock back locking mechanism. But generally speaking, it is an older kind of design, if you want that classic kind of pocket knife feel. But yeah, it's a very sturdy locking mechanism. The one downside, though, with the lock back is it does generally require two hands to close it. So you can see here, there's no clean way. I mean, there are like tricks to close it one-handed, but generally speaking, you have to have one hand press the button in here, and then another hand kind of hold the blade, and then you can kind of push it into place. So that is a disadvantage to this more, classic locking mechanism, the lock back. So two knives with the lock back there. So far we've gone through the frame lock, the liner lock, and the lock back. Moving on, we have the CJRB Pyrite folding pocket knife. Now this one is kind of quirky, right? This one actually has a button lock. So there's no liner lock, there's no frame lock, there's no lock back. There is a button that you actually push to close the blade. So you can see here, there is a little mechanism in there. When we press this button in, you can see it kind of moves out of the way of the blade there, allowing you to close it. Now, this is really nice because it allows for that one-handed operation, and it also keeps your hand out of the kind of path of the blade when it's closing, right? So there's no need to have your fingers kind of over, where the blade's going to be traveling. So you can push this button, close it right up. It's nice and safe. Your fingers aren't in the way. And it's just really easy to kind of manipulate, right? It's just a button. I mean, it really couldn't be simpler. So I actually love this locking mechanism. It's one of my preferred locking mechanisms. So pretty cool. This is the CJRB Pyrite, and this is the button lock. So one of the cooler locking mechanisms. You don't see that a whole lot, right? It's pretty uncommon, honestly. And I mean, that contrasts with the liner lock, for example, very popular. But one of the kind of key disadvantages of the liner lock is you have to put your finger in the path of the blade, right? So in order to close this, you have to, press the liner lock out of the way and then move the blade inward to close it. So there is like a slight chance that you're going to end up kind of nicking yourself, closing this up because your thumb's kind of in the way. So If you can avoid that, it's kind of nice. It's a little nifty feature that you get with the button lock, for example, right? Close it up, nothing's in the way, slightly safer. Moving on, we have an Ozark Trail Valor folding pocket knife with a slide lock. So we can see here, pop this guy open, no liner lock, no frame lock, no button lock, no lock back. We do have a slide lock though. So this little guy, you actually pull downward, right? So you just pull it downward and it clears the blade here, allowing you to close it. So that is excellent as well for its one-handed manipulation. You don't need your fingers in the path of the blade, so that is nice, just like the button lock. And it's nice and sturdy and strong. It's very easy to manipulate. Now, this is a slide lock. Something to note here, Benchmade really made this locking mechanism popular, but they don't use the slide lock terminology. They use a custom axis lock. So you might see that as well. The slide lock or the axis lock. Axis lock is just Benchmade's branding for this, but it's very similar, right? But yeah, I mean it's an excellent locking mechanism. Keeps your fingers out of the path of the blade, allows for that one-handed manipulation. So that is pretty excellent. The axis lock, slide lock, one of the popular locking mechanisms. All right, moving on, we have a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 here, and this knife is a little different from all the others in that it has a compression lock on the back of the blade, right? So it doesn't sit in the center of the blade of the handle, right, like the liner lock does, although it is a similar mechanism, right? So you can see on the back of the handle here, the compression lock kind of sits in the same way that a liner lock does on this QSP Penguin V2, but the Spyderco is on the back, right? So that's the compression lock from Spyderco. Very popular as well. It does allow for the one-handed manipulation, and you also don't need to put your fingers kind of in the path of the blade, so that's kind of nice, right? You can press it in like that, close the blade up. Don't need to put your hand kind of in the way. I have found that it is a little easier to close it in the way that you would a liner lock, where you actually, you hold it like that, get a good grip, use your thumb to kind of manipulate the blade, or to manipulate the compression lock, allowing you to close it up. But you can also do it this way, where you can just kind of like pinch it out of the way, close the blade up. No need to put your hand in front of it. So that is a nice locking mechanism from Spyderco. This is the compression lock, sitting on the back of the handle here. So compression lock, very nice. Let's close that, get that out of the way. And then the final blade on this list, and the final locking mechanism that I'm going to be demonstrating today, is the Spyderco Manix 2. And this guy actually has a ball bearing locking mechanism, but it is pretty similar to the slide lock in that it kind of follows that same kind of sliding mechanism. So the slide lock, you pull this down, it closes up. On the Spyderco ball bearing lock, you pull the little slide down and it closes up, right? Now, you can see how these are a little different, right? This one actually has a ball bearing kind of sitting inside of this little compartment. Sometimes they call this a cage lock because the ball bearing is kind of caged inside of this little slide. But same principle, right? Like you slide it down, it closes. You slide this down, and it closes, right? It's just more of a larger kind of a button that you like pull down. There's more material to kind of grab onto when compared to the slide lock or the axis lock. So still allows that one-handed manipulation. You don't need to cross your fingers over in the path of the blade, so that is phenomenal. And all of these locking mechanisms are very strong and sturdy and easy to manipulate for the most part. But so you can see here, there are many locking mechanisms in the knife world, right? There's classics, there's more modern approaches, there's, expensive approaches. But yeah, I mean, you can see it really just comes down to personal preference, right? The liner lock is the one that you're going to see the most often. It's probably the cheapest to make, and that's perfectly fine. In my opinion, the button lock is nice if you can find it, right? We do sell this knife at MightyOakSupply.com, and we sell a lot of these at MightyOakSupply.com, so I'll be sure to put links in the description for that. But the button lock on the CJRB Pyrite, pretty cool. You know, I really do enjoy that simple button press to close the knife. Yeah, but I mean, you know, tell me what you think is the best locking mechanism here. You know, leave a comment. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.